How have you been?
Quite fine.
Welcome to class. Today we'll be looking at these topics here, the ones that I've just shared. That's what we are going to look at in today's lesson. So I've sent the same notes to Tolerance. I've sent them in his email. So he'll be sharing the notes to you people. So we can now continue, but so I've said today we'll be looking at social responsibility in information communication technology. So under that, we'll be getting to understand what is social responsibility. We'll also get to know the importance of social responsibility. And we will also explain the challenges of social responsibility in ICT. That is what we'll be looking at in this very topic. So very first, we need to define the word social responsibility. Now, when you talk of social responsibility and in this in this area, we'll be looking at how how ICT as a sector or ICT in general is affected with the social responsibility. So before that, we have to define the term social responsibility. And let me share the screen. So we are saying that when you talk of social responsibility, you can have in mind maybe it could be a business. Just put in mind a business. It could be an institution. It could be even a family or even the society. So when you talk of social responsibility now, it means that now referring maybe to a business, we also talk of the shareholders. Shareholders here, like when you refer to an institution in Amanisha, it's Kabete, assuming it's Kabete. Now Kabete has got shareholders. These are now the parents, committee, or maybe board of governor committee, and many other that makes up now Kabete as an institution. So when you talk of social responsibility, it means now in terms of an institution, it means how this institution is benefiting the entire society or the entire environment. That is now social responsibility. So how is this particular institution or this business, how is it working, and how is it affecting the environment, or maybe how is it adding value to the environment around? That is now social responsibility. Now we look at the importance. Let's go and look at the importance of social responsibility. We look at the importance of social responsibility in terms of ICT or in ICT sector. In referring to the institutions, it could be the company, it could be a business enterprise. How is now that particular business giving the positive contribution to the environment around? How is it contributing maybe to development of the entire community or environment? So when you look at that, we have these the advantages first. Just allow me to get to the advantages of social responsibility. And we are saying that we are looking at it from this point, how this particular, it could be a family, it could be a business, it could be an institution. How is it contributing to the environment around it? How is it contributing to the environment around it in terms of ICT, this business? Is it adding a value, and which value is this? Or what are these values that is this particular business or institution is adding to the environment around? So we'll talk of the importance. Number one, we have the first one, appropriate staff ICT in ICT department. Appropriately staff ICT departments. So in as much as we are looking at social responsibility of an institution, then when we incorporate ICT in that particular business, then it will now improve, or it will lead to appropriately staffing the IT department. So it means we will increase the number of them. Another advantage, fairly compensate ICT workers. It means that the workers now working under the ICT of this business will be compensated, because maybe they'll be doing so much work, maybe so much work in terms of maybe over time, because maybe there's a lot of work to do, like when we ensure that the entire institution is computerized, then it means there'll be someone who will be monitoring the database and even up to late hours. So it means he or she or these employees are supposed to be compensated. There is also adequately trained computer users. It means now the users the users will be trained. Computer users will be trained depending on the department. We also have provide ergonomic user environment. Now this is an advantage, but it will now be to the institution as the management of the institution. For example, now because Kabete or maybe your business, you have computerized your business, then it means the users will be trained how to use these computers. And again, you'll go and buy some of the computer devices that will not affect them when they use the same devices for a long time, like the keyboards. You'll go for the ergonomic types of keyboards so that it will, as the users are using these keyboards, they will not be affected. They do not have wrist injuries and so on. Another advantage of social responsibility, we have maintain secure and virus-free computer systems. So whenever we incorporate ICT in a business, then we'll have to ensure that data is secured or the systems are secured, and also prevent virus. We ensure that we prevent virus circulating in the computer system by maybe installing whatever we need for that, and then safeguarding the privacy of information by maybe saving information in different backups, ethically manage intellectual property, ensuring that the systems are well maintained so that they are not misused by even the workers or the employees. Then utilize energy efficient technology. And then the other importance we have is properly recycle used computer equipment. So the computer equipment that are now not that have expired maybe in terms of use, or they are malfunctioning and there's no more much you can do about them, then we have to properly dispose them. And then lastly, support efforts to reduce digital divide. Support efforts to reduce digital divide. Now we'll get to know what is digital divide here. Now, before we look at digital divide in relation to computing, I'll have this example, digital divide, but we'll be talking of electricity. So we realize that when in reference to electricity, you realize there are some areas, maybe in 5 years, in a duration of 5 years, maybe this is 2000 and it could be 2016, 14 there. You realize there are certain rural areas that didn't have electricity. So when we have some areas being equipped, or maybe they have electricity, everything they do is in terms, they use electricity, and we have got some areas which do not have electricity, then we can say that is electricity divide, such that there are areas who are much ahead than the others in terms of using electricity. So that is just an example. But now when you talk of digital divide in relation to computing or in ICT, then it will also mean there are certain areas which are much ahead by using computers, or maybe implementing the use of computers in most of the areas. And then there are other areas which are very much behind because they don't use computers. So that is now what we refer to as a digital divide. So digital divide is just a gap between demographics and regions that access modern information and communication technology, and those that don't have restricted access. So it's just a gap between those who are using electricity and those ones who are not using electricity. And this could be, digital divide could exist between cities, whereby we have a certain city which, like Nairobi, we always use electricity in businesses, at home, and all that. But when you compare Nairobi to a certain area, maybe in rural area, a certain town, it could be maybe Kakamega, or even talk of maybe Bomet, you realize electricity is there, but they use it in they utilize this electricity at a lower rate compared to Nairobi. So it could also be between the educated and uneducated, between social economic groups, and globally, between more and less industrial developed nations. So that is what we refer to as the digital divide. That is what we refer to digital divide. So we look at what we call social responsibility in ICT. Another subtopic, social responsibility in ICT. So as we look at this topic, we'll be looking at how ICT is working effectively within the environment, or maybe towards the environment. Now, looking at the business that is now computerized, how is it affecting this environment? Then that is it. Now, when you talk of social responsibility in ICT, we'll be looking at other areas where ICT where ICT is affecting, other areas affected by ICT. So we know very well ICT. When you talk of ICT, it means it's the application of computers and technology and their equipment. So when you refer to ICT or IT, it means application of computers and telecommunication and there. So how do you use these equipment? Computer equipment, computer devices. How do you use the telecommunications? How is telecommunications coming in to ensure that there is the retrieval of? So we are saying that we want to look at how what is now social responsibility in ICT? What is the role of social responsibility in ICT? So as we talk of social responsibility, we say that we are not looking at the role of ICT, but we are now looking at how this ICT, or how this technology in terms of ICT, how is it affecting the environment that we are in? How is it affecting this environment we are in? And that is why when you talk of that, then you realize we'll be looking at what now affects. As we use technology, this is now the ICT. We'll be looking at what we normally use, or what we do to affect now the entire environment. And by that, we'll be talking of ICT's environment. So when we use computers to store, retrieve, transmit, and manipulate data, then it means in one way or another will be affecting the environment. And this environment could be the businesses that are around. So we'll be doing what we call e-commerce in the process of retrieving, storing, transmitting, and manipulating data. That could be, it could affect us from that point. We can also be using what you call the database, and you know very well when you talk of database, it means it's now referring to storing of files, records, and files. So when you are storing records and files, it means that now ICT will be applying the application, will be using the programs of the computer now to collect related data on various subjects. Then we will retrieve when we require the very data. And then it will also affect it, because we are using this application, then it means it will affect the user. Now it means that as we use it, this application should be friendly to us, so that we can store data easily, analyze data easily, and so on. Tunaona, so tumesema role of social responsibility in ICT, or what is now social responsibility in ICT. Tumesema now from this point tunaelezwa information technology. What is information technology? Na hapa we know that when you talk of information technology, we're dealing with the application of computers and telecommunication and their equipments. So use these computers and telecommunications, and we'll be able to retrieve, store, transmit, and manipulate data. And then there's this other one. So it will have ICT will have affect the environment positively, the entire environment positively. We can also say ICT for environment. Now, how will this ICT now affect the environment? We'll be able now to acquire, the computer users in the organization will be able to acquire, store, and analyze, and also visualize satellite data for observation, protection of environment, easy access around the world, then dramatically reduced costs, etc. Now, talk of database. We know very well when you talk of database, then it means storing records and files. That is now database. So we now look at the application software, or the application programs that will allow now the user to store files and records. So now, how will the use of database now affect the entire environment? So it will help in collecting interrelated data in various subjects. It can also it will allow retrieval of the same data whenever it is required, and then user friendliness and convenience to store large amount of data and analyze data gathered. So as we look at ICT in terms of database, now using the application program known as database, we'll be able to carry out the following as shown there. Then there is the environmental database. It is still just top of the same, but now in a wider area. There is also this one, remote sensing. Let's look at remote sensing. Now, when you talk of remote sensing, how will ICT now affect the social responsibility? How will social responsibility affect ICT in terms of remote sensing? Now, it means when you talk of remote sensing, it means there'll be acquisition of information about an object or a phenomena without making physical contact. Now, for example, if you want to know the coverage of Nairobi metropolitan, which size is Nairobi? You can as well just get that, because it's already now using incorporating of computers, then you can easily know that this Nairobi has got this coverage area. Unlike kama ungeenda physically ukipima. Then new sensors being developed rapidly, like for example, Google Map. There is important for weather forecasts, climate change, and natural disasters. So computer, when we incorporate now ICT, we realize now as a social responsibility, then we realize we have achieved remote sensing, whereby we can easily study or get information of a certain area or a certain thing easily without now going to the physical site and maybe get the very information. Like maybe Google Map, you talk of hii yenye wanatumia, hii inaitwa aje, hii yenye Uber, hizi nini za Uber wanatumia, and so on. You only have just to ukienda kwa, okay, there's a way you now, when you want to use, like whenever you want to use kina Uber and you are in this particular part in Nairobi, you simply, there's a way there's a process you undergo so that you can easily access or maybe get to hire a Uber from where you are, from that remote area you are. Then there is using of, so when you talk of using remote sensing data, we'll just explain the same thing na ile tumesema remote sensing. We also have geographical information system, GIS, geographical information system. So when you talk of geographical information system now, and we are incorporating ICT, then we say it is designed to capture. Geographical information system normally is designed for the purpose of capturing, storing, and manipulating, and even managing data of all types. That could be spatial data and even geographical data. So it will also help, this GIS will also help for the purpose of studying environment, reporting on the phenomena, and the model according to how it is working, so on. Then there is another area where we are affected, where social responsibility will affect ICT. That is overcoming challenges. Overcoming challenges. This could be many. When you talk of that, you'll be referring to now many areas now. Like for example, many parts of the world yet to adapt new technology in ICT or maybe IT sectors. A large amount of information normally is available for that. Difficulty to process and filter accurate information infer from huge data. Now we are also, social responsibility will control that. And then overloading of information and less storage. Remember, social responsibility in ICT, work on that so that there's no overloading of information and less storage, and so on. So these are just a few areas where social responsibility in ICT will affect. Then there's also other areas. You can talk of how social responsibility in ICT will affect health, how social responsibility in ICT will affect health. And when you talk of health, you realize you'll talk of the database. How will it affect? Now, when you talk of health facilities, whenever they are computerized, then it means there'll be easy storage of files and records. And then you can talk of biological database, but still it's just under files. There's also banks, global burden of disease, now under health. When we incorporate ICT, then it means more diseases can easily be discovered, because remember now machines or maybe artificial intelligence will now come in to help in research. Then there is also biometrics, whereby whenever they want to get information maybe of a patient, they use a biometric instead of maybe using the manual way of capturing data. What is your name? Where do you come from? And all that. So they can easily just incorporate biometrics, whereby data or maybe information of an individual is captured through parts of the body. It could be through tongue, it could be through fingers, and so on. And then so the ninis will just keep on repeating themselves, but now they explain from different perspectives. And also controlling diseases under health. Now when we incorporate ICT as a social responsibility, we realize now it will help in controlling diseases. Social responsibility in ICT will now help in controlling diseases, whereby now the researchers will study or maybe research wider, and then maybe they try to come up with the solutions, like maybe Ebola virus, as you see there. Remember, Ebola virus was deadly as corona, but with the time they got how to go about the disease by maybe immunization. They discovered an immunization and so on, and even other ways to keep yourself safer in terms of the disease. Then there's also biological equipment with the ICT. Then there is also discovery of sophisticated biological equipments that are normally used in health sector, and so on. So we are just looking at, when you talk of social responsibility in ICT, now we look at how ICT is affecting other areas that is surrounding us. That could be now like health is an area. How is ICT affecting health? Health sector. How is ICT affecting? You talk of. You can even talk of education but now you explain, you can talk of, ukisema kama health, you now talk of how data is kept, how diseases are researched by use of these sophisticated equipment, and so on. We can also now talk of the ICT itself, where we are saying that how ICT is affected by now improving the way data is stored. Now, other areas are like, it could be now remote sensing, how ICT is incorporated in remote sensing, whereby we say that now ICT comes in, whereby when we involve now Google Maps, which will allow now to get information or maybe access certain facilities now through Google Maps, like the Uber. You talk of geographical information system, how you can capture data now through ICT. You can capture data, store data, and manipulate data, and even present the same data in a spatial or geographical data, and many more, and many more. So I just want you to know this. When you talk of social, if you are maybe to talk about social responsibility in ICT, you pick an area. You can pick, you can even talk of ICT itself, how it's affecting the environment. Then you talk of the database, how data is kept, how files are kept. You can talk of, now when you talk of other areas, or even same ICT, you can talk of remote sensing. How does ICT now comes in? When you talk of remote sensing, you can talk of geographical information system. How will that be affected? You talk of health. Now, in health, how is ICT? How is the social responsibility of ICT in terms of health? Now, you talk of how data are kept, how data is kept in health facilities. You can talk of biographical database, but it's still under database. You can talk of this one, bioinformatics, how data is captured in health, in health sector by using of bioinformatics. You can talk of telemedicine. Tele means far, and medicine. Now, far medicine, how are people treated? Like when you are here, instead of you going to India, how will you be treated? It means the doctors here will incorporate the doctors who are in India pertaining a particular disease, so that they can easily get to know these are the right prescription of this particular disease. You can talk of under health, e-health. Now, e-health, you can talk of biomechanics, you can talk of broadcasting, you can talk of controlling diseases, biological equipments, and so on. So you simply just identify the area, and then you talk of how data is kept there, like in terms of database and many other areas. Identify an area, and then you come up with how things are done in terms of that particular area. If it is e-health, or maybe if it is in terms of health sector, you talk of that. If it is in terms of maybe okay, you can talk of maybe banks, because banks are also in our surrounding, or they are also affected with us. Now we'll talk of how data is kept in the bank, and many other. It's a wide, by the way, it's an application area. When you talk of social responsibility in ICT, and then it's an application area. You can simply pick up an area, or pick a particular sector, and then you elaborate. But you'll be talking of the database, or maybe how data files are kept. You talk of other things that will come in, just incorporating ICT in mind. So we look at the challenges. We look at the challenges of social responsibility in ICT. It's also an application area. So when you talk of challenges in Amanisha, these are some of the shortcomings that will make now ICT not function very well. Social responsibility of ICT not to function very well. Number one, we can say inefficiency of the government, inefficiency of the government, whereby now when the government is not able maybe to fund as when the government is not able to fund some areas, like it could be health sector, it could be education sector, then it will become now a challenge. Like, for example, we were to have the primary kids were to have tablets. That was one of the mission the government wanted to accomplish, but you see now it has not accomplished. Then it means it's a challenge. Yes, they tried, but they only sampled some few schools. So it's a challenge. Then demand for greater disclosure. Demand for greater disclosure. This also is affecting the example we've given, like schools. You see now when you talk of business, you can say there is a growing demand for corporate disclosure from the stakeholders, including customers, suppliers, employees, community, investors, and activists organization. Same to the example that we have just given out, that is now tablets in schools. You realize now the government could not accomplish that because because of the population, and also other things contributed to that. Then another challenge we have is increased customer interest. And it is also affecting education sector, where we say that now there are more students, more pupils joining schools. So tuliambiwa, like last year, we were told that from last year, watu wote wenye walifanya form 4, they have to continue with they have to advance their education, either wafanye artisan, wafanye certificate, wafanye diploma, degree, and so on. So you realize because of the increased number of those who are interested to undergo or maybe to further their studies, it becomes a challenge. Then we can also say increased pressure from investor. Increased pressure from investor is also a challenge. Then change in employee behavior. Change in employee behavior. Now, when you talk of change in employee behavior and you are referring to a business, we can say employees are increasingly looking beyond paychecks and benefits and seeking out employers whose operating practices match their own principles. So you realize this is also a challenge. This is a challenge. And then in order to hire and retain skilled employees, companies are being forced to improve their working conditions. Companies are forced to improve their working conditions. And even in education sector, you realize sasa wameincorporate what we call CBC program. CBC has been incorporated so that they now improve the condition, the working condition of the teachers, how the teachers are supposed to cover the syllabus. So that is also a challenge, and many more that you can get. We now look at emerging trends in ICT. So before we look at emerging trends in ICT, can we get a question? Can one of us maybe ask where he or she didn't class?
Madam, are you getting me?
Yes, I'm getting you, Douglas.
So on ITA, there's several places that you are mentioning.
Yes.
I just wanted you to help us probably at home. How can you apply that information, ICT, basically at home?
Social responsibility in ICT at home.
Exactly.
Now, for instance, okay, let me use my example here. I'm working from home, Cindy. Yes?
Yes.
I'm working from home. Now, when I talk of social responsibility in ICT at home, then I'll be talking of how I keep my records. Now, database. How do I keep my records of work updated? You realize, like, as I'm teaching, at the end of the lesson, I have to print the register. This online register, wale watu wenye waliattend. Yeah? So if you are 100, na mmeattend watu 35, I'll have to update. Now because of online, now because of ICT in terms of now internet, I'll be able to print your register, class register, and from there I can easily know these students have been attending and these ones have not been attending. Ama huyu anakuja leo, kesho hakuji, and so on. So that is how ICT is affecting. Now I'll be able to save my files. I'll be able to store my records and files.
Madam,
Yes,
I
yes.
think that just for a point of clarification, I think that is for school.
School.
Yeah, but
But
huku
listen, but I've said
mashinani,
just a minute. I've said I'm also working from home, so it is also affecting me as I work from home. Tuendele? Yes. Just
so
continue.
on the basis, I just wanted you to clarify some of the points. Probably, how can we use this social probably responsibility of ICT? Basically, three points just at home. Kama
At home.
uko local mashinani.
Now, local mashinani, then it means there must be electricity. Yes. Okay, huko mashinani lazima kuwe na electricity. Hata kama atakuwa anatumia simu, si ata have kucharge hiyo simu. Lazima hiyo device anatumia itoko nyumbani. Sio simu yako utacharge. To access maybe internet, kuna vitu utataka kuona kwa internet, there is research utataka kufanya. So, and as you do research, you will always save. Hata kwenye YouTube, assuming you are using your phone, ukiwa huko nyumbani na maybe there are certain clips on YouTube, so you have to save, and that goes to database. And then apart from that, you can talk of, and this one also is affecting, I think, all mobile users, like phone tracking is also, you can incorporate that. Now it's also okay. How do I put it? Okay, whenever you are using phones, it's good to apply or maybe activate this tool known as phone tracking, so that in case of anything, you can easily track, or you can track that one. Or maybe you can even use the same application maybe to track someone. You realize nowadays, like, kuna phones zenye mtu akitumia, wakati unapigia mtu simu inakuonyesha huyu mtu ako mahali fulani and it is this distance from where you are. So I've said you'll have to identify, like ukisema home, you'll talk of storage of information, you'll talk of files, storing and updating, and anything. You can also apply anything that will come apart from database and even storage and retrieval of files and records. You can come up with any other application that we use whenever we have, like Google Map. Hata ukiwa huko reserve, bora kuna network, you can easily use Google Map, lakini sasa itakuwa restricted, like mostly hapa when you talk of Google Map na unaongelea mambo ya Uber na hizi transport sectors, then inamaanisha it normally covers Nairobi peke yake, haijakuwa expanded to reserve and all that. So like now when you talk of families, social responsibility in ICT na families, then it will only have okay, you'll only have some few points under that. But when you talk of health, then inamaanisha you talk of so many things in terms of health, because health inakuwa affected na so many things.
Okay, thank you. We can continue.
Okay, so we look at emerging trends in ICT and ethics. Now, when you talk of the term emerging, inamaanisha vitu zenye whatever is coming up, emerging trends, whatever we are now discovering or whatever is now coming up in relation to technology, there are things that are now keep on changing. That is now emerging trends. Now, emerging trends in ICT and ethics. So we let me just open the emerging trends in ICT. So we'll first of all look at whatever is there, current trends in information technology, and we'll just list a few of them, but ni nyingi. If you talk of them, utapata ni vitu nyingi sana. Now we talk of there's this one here in Ajita, cloud computing. Cloud computing is a trend in ICT. Now clouding computing. Let me have who? Nataka someone atueleze what is clouding computing, because I know it's not the first time umesikia hii term clouding computing. So let me have Cecilia Anyenga. Cecilia Anyenga, clouding computing ni nini? I believe mmesoma in one of the clouding computing. You might have come across in one of the unit mnasoma. Clouding computing ni nini? Fanuel, try.
Okay, it's the practice of using a network of remote servers hosted on the internet to store and manage processes and data.
Yeah.
Or a personal computer.
Yeah, please repeat.
The practice of using a network or remote servers hosted on the internet to store, manage and process data.
That is it. And a good example, ebu muone hii online classes. Remember, kila mtu akona anatumia device. It could be a phone, it could be a laptop, kila mtu anatumia. Nakumbuka hii laptop imekuwa hosted na server. It is now monitored by a server. Now, these computers that are linked to this particular, these client computers that are linked to these host computers are now able to share information, access information, retrieve information, and so on. That is what we refer to as clouding computing. So when you talk of clouding computing in Amanisha, now there is network. Now for us to have this online class right now, it means there is a network. And now through a network, we are able to share resources and access resources using digital devices that we have. That is one of the emerging trend in ICT. Let me get the other one. Let me share the screen to you again. We have this other one, which is as mobile computing and applications. Mobile computing and applications, whereby now mobile phones, talk of tablets, and even other devices have both business world and personal realm by storm. Mobile usage usage and the number of applications generated have both skyrocketed in recent years. So you can say now it's just the use of mobiles and computers. The use of these devices now the use of these devices whenever you are working on a task. So the use of these mobile phones is you can use them whenever you want to access internet. The use of these mobile phones, you can use them whenever you want to communicate with even different people who are in different locations worldwide. The use of computers, you can as well communicate, you can as well use some of the applications that are in these computers to perform a particular task wherever you are. That is mobile computing and applications. And then there is this other emerging trend we have, big data analytics, analyzing large volume of data. Now it's one of the emerging trends. You can easily analyze large volume of data by using the computers. So big data is a trend that allows business to analyze extensive sets of information to achieve a variety in increasing volume and growth of velocity. Now, a good example here, when you talk of big data. Now, before, do you know that Zoom, the Google, okay, the Zoom tool tunatumia kufunza, this Zoom application tunatumia kufunza, it was there, but haikuwa inatumika. Now that the world has now understand why this application was to be used even before Corona came in. So it was there, but just a few countries walikuwa wanatumia online classes, online working. But now because we have seen the need of it, then we can we now have moved to using it now fully. And then there is this other one, another current trend. We have automation. Automation, I believe umeisoma kwa SAD. Automation, I hope you look at it when you are looking at this unit known as SAD. So please, can I have an Kamau?
Office automation is the tool that enables data to move from one system to another on its own without human intervention.
Okay, let me have another person trial. That was a good try. But let me have another person. Nataka huyu. Nelias Kariuki, what is office automation?
It's the tool that enables data to move from one system to another on its own without human intervention.
Yeah. Now, Nyabera, what do you say about this?
For me, it is computer machinery. Hello, it is a computer.
Yes, I'm getting.
It's a computer machinery and a software used to digitally create. It can create, store, collect, manipulate, and rely office information needed for completing or accomplishing basically a specific task.
Yeah, and that could be even repetitive tasks. Yeah, it is okay. Hata wale wameisema, but sasa okay, wamesema narrow down to tool. That is very correct. So we can say when you talk of automation, is just the process of collecting information from, it could be vendors. Now in terms of business, you can talk of vendors or customers and other documentation. So automation process or automated processes normally check invoices and other accounts payable aspects, customer interactions, etc. So in other words, vile mnasema, now when you incorporate now the computer and this application, you will now be able to retrieve data or maybe get data from different sources. You will be able to access data or maybe retrieve data from different sources, and maybe you can as well send this data or move this information from this particular machine to another machine. That is automation or office automation. And the reason as to why there must be automation, it normally increases organization-wide production, allowing employees and other valuable time wisely, and allowing employees to use valuable time wisely rather than wasting time on tedious work. So you can as well use this office automation now is incorporated so that you be able to retrieve data easily and very fast, instead of now retrieving this same data or sending this same data manually. So as you do this, as you use office automation, then you realize you'll save on time and there's another trend we have as artificial intelligence and smart machines. Artificial intelligence and smart machines is another emerging trend. Now, when you talk of artificial intelligence, then what should come in your mind is now machines just working the normal way a human being will work. Artificial intelligence. Yani, these are softwares zenye huwa zinainstoliwa kwa machine, and once these computers have got these particular softwares, they now behave just like a human being. A good example is now there are these computers that are referred to as artificial intelligence computers. Na ndio ikuwe artificial intelligence computer inamaanisha imewekwa hizo programs such that ikiwekwa kwa hospitali, and it is used in some of the countries, some of the countries here in the world. So like inatumika kwa health, when it refer to health facilities ziko na hii, such that mgonjwa akienda hospitali, you don't come one-on-one on doctors. Now you realize maybe your hospitali iko tu na, instead of it having maybe 10 doctors, iko na doctors kama wawili ama watatu. And then nurses pia wame reduce because of the artificial intelligent machines that are there. They have reduced nurses, mortuary attendants, and so on. So they don't have so much staff working there. So that once you get to this hospital, ukifika pale, remember a computer is the one that will be welcoming you. Welcome, how do you feel? Okay, what is your problem? You have to explain. I've been vomiting since yesterday. What did you eat? Now computer itakuwa inakuuliza, because it has got this program, itakuwa inakuuliza, what did you eat last? Itakuuliza hizo maswali, and as it is asking you through the software, it will be analyzing, so that once you have explained, you will be now sent to the next step, or in the next room, whereby you'll now maybe meet the doctor, who will now just approve. And then from there, you will be given medication. Like if you are to go to X-ray, you'll be sent to the X-ray machine. Now the computer is the one that will be communicating to you. And then maybe lastly, you'll only see the doctor somewhere while you are finishing up. Lakini the machines, the computers there will be just working instead of the human beings now. In fact, now when you realize as a patient, when you realize you are talking to a computer, you'll not be so secretive. You'll now be, you can easily say anything. You can easily air whatever is disturbing you, because it's not a human being. So that is an example of artificial intelligence in relation to health sector. We have another emerging trend, virtual reality. Virtual reality. Now when you talk of virtual reality now, when we refer to computer, the use of computer technology to create simulated environment. So example let me have this example with you. These people who like, most of you, in fact, in some majority of you normally play computer games. True or false?
True.
True. So you realize, like, I don't know, this device inajiita, kuna hii device huwa mnatumia kucheza hii football. Especially, okay, let me just, hatuwezi sema ni men peke yao, mlisema mnaitwa gentlemen. So you use there's this device, inaitwa aje? Hii huwa mna digital, kuna ile huwa mnatumia kucheza hii game ya football, kucheza match. Do you know that tool, hiyo device huwa mnatumia, I've just forgotten the name. The device you normally use inakufanya unakaa ni kama uko kwa uwanja, yani inakufanya you be like just you are playing physically. Unakuwa kwa real world ya football in a pitch. It's not really. Hata kuna hii ingine pia ya kuendesha gari. Hiyo hata kuna simu ziko nazo. So as you try to maybe drive a car virtually, inakaa ni kama unaenda una hit, ni kama hata umepata accident. But see, okay, inakufanya tu kwa hiyo real world. Though you are not there, you are using a phone, but sasa as you use it, inakufanya unakuwa that real world of that particular game. So when you talk of virtual reality as an emerging trend in ICT, we say that it's the use of computer technology to create simulated environment, same environment. So what normally virtual reality do, it will allow the user using either the computer or any other device to appear as if he's in the real world. Like maybe driving, you can talk of playing computer games and so on. And then there is this other one. So like now when you talk of there's this other trend also we have as augmented reality. Now, augmented reality is more versatile to practical version of virtual reality. It's more practical. Remember, virtual reality will make you appear as if you are there. But when you talk of augmented reality, then it's a practical part. It's like ni hivo unafanya. So this augmented reality is more versatile and versatile of virtual reality, as it does not fully immerse individual in an experience. Augmented reality features interactive scenarios that enhance real world with images, sounds that create altered experience. So like now when you talk of augmented reality, you'll be talking of working with the sound and working with images, unlike virtual reality. So like this one, virtual reality huwa inatumika like for example in airports, augmented reality inatumika like in airports. Okay, in airports by implementing inatumika in airports to help people get through their checks and terminal as quickly as effectively and possible. So whenever you are in airport, Joe wame implement ama wanatumia this emerging trend inaitwa augmented reality to help people or maybe passengers get through their checks and terminals as quickly as possible. Now pia inaweza tumika kwa retail and cosmetic to let customer test products. Furniture stores also use it as a mode to lay out new interior design options. And then there are others that comes in like cyber privacy and security. It's also another emerging trend. Cyber security, or maybe cyber privacy and security, whereby now by the use of internet, you can say shared company system and the growth of internet leave high amount of personal and company at a risk to breaches. Redesigned system and new firewalls and gateways will be added to the services company need to bolster their technology. So now to prevent maybe access of data or maybe to secure data, you realize the companies will now incorporate easy firewalls. Remember firewalls was zinatumika to prevent virus na pia to prevent unauthorized access. So now companies normally incorporate firewalls, gateways to their services to prevent what you call to prevent cyber or to ensure that there is cyber security so that the information is not sensitive information is not accessed by unauthorized access. So cyber security, they incorporate firewalls and gateways to ensure their private data or secretive data is not shared. Remember, on a network, it's not shared on a network or within a network. Then you can talk of internet. There is also this other one, inajiita internet. Internet is one of them. And then we can talk of maybe challenges of emerging trend in ICT. Challenges of emerging trends in ICT. Challenges that we have in emerging trends of ICT. You can talk of number one, we have sustainability of scale. Sustainability of scale. Now, when you talk of that, it means it will now become a problem now for an organization, for example, or an institution like Kabete to sustain maybe the network users, or maybe the network users. That is a good example. The network users, assuming that maybe Kabete wanted to maybe to provide bundles to the entire institute, to the learners, or maybe the entire institution. That could be teachers, it could be students. You realize because of maybe the population, it becomes a challenge, something like that. Then kuna hii ingine lack of knowledge. Whenever an organization do not have enough knowledge on how to go about some of these trends, it could be like cyber security, and then you realize it will be a challenge to them. There is also funding. When there is no enough fund, then it will become a challenge. Pace of change. Pace of change. It is also a challenge of its own. Now, before we opened schools, education minister was trying as much as possible to ensure that schools are open, but you realize there were challenges. Like when you talk of primary and high schools, you realize there were not enough classes, enough desks, and so many. So because of that, now they came up with a pace, this kind of change, whereby the two groups, that is grade 4 students and class 8 students, should go back, and then maybe at the end of this term, the other pupils will be joining, or the other students will now join in January. That's when you say changing. Okay, when you say pace in changing, so you realize now this change is there, but it's now taking the change is now taking a low rate. It changes there, but it's now taking too much time. Those changes taking place, but it in a slower manner. We talk of funding as a challenge. We also have another challenge here: changing roles and norms. Changing roles and norms is also a challenge. Changing roles and norms. We also have changing norms and roles is also a challenge. And then these are just more challenges that I got when I was more okay, I can just say there are also challenges and opportunities that I got. You can as well add, but these ones are now talking of artificial intelligence, which is already there. We have already seen it. We also have blockchain. These are others that are there. Cybersecurity. There's edge computing, quantum computing, 5G. These are opportunities and opportunities that we have of opportunities of emerging trends in ICT and so on. So that is it. But you can as well research more and more and more. You can research as much as you want to understand more. So when you talk of the last topic, that is emerging trends in ICT, we just get to know what are some of these emerging trends in ICT, and then the challenges, and that is it. Emerging trends in ICT, then you finish by looking at the challenges that we have. Challenges and opportunities that we have in emerging trends in ICT. And you'll be good to go. You'll be good to go. You'll be good to go. So when you talk of challenges, unaongelea ni hizi tano, the main one, challenges and opportunities we have in ICT. You'll talk of these four: sustainability and scale. You'll talk of lack of knowledge. You'll talk of pace of change, funding, changing roles and norms. And then we have opportunities of emerging trends in ICT. Kumbuka hizi zilikuwa challenges. So when you have opportunities now, whatever is trying to, now the opportunities are there to ensure that the challenges are minimized. So kuna hiyo artificial intelligence, that's now an opportunity. We have blockchain, it's an opportunity. We have drones, an opportunity. There is edge computing. There is internet. Hiyo inamaanisha internet of things. IoT is just internet. It's also an opportunity. And then kuna hii quantum computing, kuna virtual reality, augmented reality. Na tumesema augmented will work now with the images and sound, augmented reality. But hii haina hiyo image and sound, but they still work the same. And then kuna hii 3D printing, and then kuna 5G. Now internet speeds zenye tuko nayo hapa Kenya we use 4G ama kuna 5G internet speed. Kuna okay, in Kenya currently tuko na hata mnaona hizo Safaricom lines ziko na 4G, hatujafika 5G, but worldwide kuna countries zimefika kwa 4G internet speed. So that is it. Tumesema kwa hiyo last topic, just ensure that you know examples of emerging trends we have in ICT. Emerging trends in ICT. You look at challenges we have in ICT, alafu mtaangalia opportunities. Opportunities of emerging trends in ICT. So with the opportunities ni zile zimewekwa, these are some of the things that are put in place to prevent the challenges that we have in ICT. So opportunities of emerging trends in ICT. So there is artificial intelligence, there is blockchain, there is cybersecurity. You can talk of drones, edge computing, internet, 3D printing, and then lastly kuna 5G. 5G network speed. So I believe we have now finished the syllabus. We have finished the syllabus, and write down this question. Yes, I want you to tackle this. I want you to tackle this question. Distinguish between the following terminologies. Roman 1, virtual reality and augmented, AUGMENTD, augmented reality. Roman 2, edge computing and edge computing and quantum computing.
Pardon.
Edge ya EDGE, edge computing, and quantum. Quantum is QUANTUM, quantum computing. Roman 3, confidentiality and authenticity. Confidentiality and authenticity. Bus topology and ring topology. Next, dump terminal and intelligent terminal. Dump terminal and intelligent terminal. Next, fax machine and fax machine and modem. Fax machine and a modem. Next, firewalls and gateways. Firewalls and gateways. So firewalls and gateways in relation, endelea kwa hiyo point, firewalls and gateways in relation to cyber security. In relation to cyber security. So utakuwa unaeleza what is the meaning of this term firewall and what is the meaning of this other term known as gateway, but you'll be relating to cyber security. Another one, data bus and control bus. Data bus and control bus. Next, off-shelf software. Off-the-shelf software. Off-the-shelf software. And in-house developed software. And in-house developed software. The next one, multi-programming and multiprocessing. Multi-programming and multiprocessing as used in computer systems. This one is so specific. Multi-programming and multiprocessing as used in computer systems. Lastly, write this word in capital letters. I'll spell for you. SRAM, 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 and EPROM. SRAM ni SRAM and EPROM in relation to computer memories. In relation to computer memories and as used in computer system. SRAM and EPROM in relation to computer memories as used in a computer system. As used in a computer system. The terminologies that I've picked, nimekuwa nikipick kutoka kwa different topics. So in other words, kabla ujibu hiyo swali, like kuna hiyo ya firewalls and gateway, hiyo inamaanisha uende usome hiyo topic yenye hizo terminologies zinatoka hapo. Usome hiyo topic yote kwanza. Haya, kuna hii inajiita computer memories, inafaa uende usome so that you understand everything there before you answer the question. Msijibu tu maswali, msiende tu mkagoogle maswali. In other words, I'm trying to tell you people, revise on these particular topics where these terminologies come from. And then nimetuma link kwa one of your class member or class rep, anajiita Tolerance. The link has got all past papers za hii unit. Okay, iko na past papers zote za hizo course mnafanya. In our next lesson tutaanza kufanya revision ya past paper na tutaanza na the latest. That one ni ya 2018 November. So maybe I give a chance for a question or maybe a clarification or even an addition. Otherwise we can call it a day unless kama mtu ako na an addition, subtraction or anything.
Yes, Mwalimu.
Yes.
Can we say
Yes.
one application uses of a blockchain?
Yes.
It is in banks and the voting softwares that we use to do elections.
Repeat your question, please.
Okay, I was asking.
Yes.
Can you say the applications of a blockchain that we've read today?
Yes, yes.
One can be the system that are used in banks and the ones that are used in elections.
Yeah, that could be an application area where blockchain data as an emerging trend of ICT. We can say blockchain data normally is used in areas like electronic voting and in banks. So those are some of the areas where blockchain data is used. But you have to say
Thank
what is nini kwanza. Tuseme tu inatumika huko. What is blockchain kwanza?
Yes. Thank you.
So I think if we don't have anything to add or any comment, then you are free to leave at your own pace. Nice day.